Okay. All right, it's July 3rd, 7 p.m. This is the General Operations Committee meeting for July. I'm calling the meeting to order. Mr. Hyde, will you please give us our invocation?
Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your many blessings to us and for your Son. We pray, Lord, as we conduct business here tonight, that we will seek to do your will and those things that would bring credit to the kingdom of God. We pray in thy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Hyde. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Could I?
Who said?
Commissioner Schmidt.
I was the main motion.
Yeah, the main motion was Chris and Miller. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Chris and Miller
I like this.
and Terry Moss.
We're focused.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No report from the chairman. The report from the county mayor was in your packet. No, we don't have to read it. You can read it on your own. We have one person in recognition of the public. Please come forward. Your name and address, please.
Tracy Finnegan with no E and just one N in Finnegan, thank
Okay.
you.
Your
And I
address?
live at 737 Shun Pike in Cottontown.
Okay.
And thank you for all you're doing. I mean, you've accomplished a lot last month and the months prior, the budget and everything. You guys are just doing a phenomenal job, and so thank you. And again, I thank you for, I want to give a little update, then I have some questions on this farmer's market that we had, our community market in Cottontown, June 24th. We had someone approached me and said, hey, you guys have some things going on in Cottontown. Can we do a farmer's market? And so the board met, we agreed to support this market. We had 12 booths and about 200 people come by. So it's a great location, and the kids are playing, kickball. It was just everything we could have ever wanted. And so it was a huge success, so thank you. Hopefully there was a little confusion about the use early on, and I did get, an email from the county mayor saying we could use the property for our event, but there was a request via text for a document about do we have some document that was sent by the county mayor to Amanda North and I the Monday prior to the 19th asking for a document. Who's given us authorization? So there's a little confusion. There isn't a document to my knowledge. Don't know why. I had to kind of field some questions for Amanda. She's the key person putting this together. So anyway, so hopefully my understanding is there's something possibly in the works. And hopefully, because there was confusion on the restroom, we were told yes by the other group that uses it, that may have the only key, the Friends of the Bridal House. We were told yes, bathroom use only on a Friday, they would be there, and then Saturday we got there and some people were turned away. People with kids and I understand it's for emergency use only, and I sent the vendors over there. I said, okay, vendors, here's your chance to use the restroom. So just that little confusion, and I know you guys are doing a lot and I appreciate it, and so just an opportunity to tighten up this event so there's not confusion. People don't get turned away or have to drive all the way to Dollar General to use the restroom. So anyways, as we work out, you guys get more and more organized with all the endeavors that you're taking on. So just a thank you and ask for clarification about this document, and we're happy to sign it. And that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Happy
much.
Fourth.
Thank you. You too. That concludes recognition of the public. We'll jump right into old business. 8A, progress on securing Cottontown Post Office and Draper House. I would entertain a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so there was a bid, as most of you know. We didn't get one bid proposal from anybody on any of the aspects of securing the Cottontown Post Office or the Draper House. John Isbell refers to that in these meeting minutes, or his report. And so what effectively is going to happen there is the Cottontown community is going to bring forth proposals that the mayor's office will approve. They haven't gotten any yet, but they are working on them. And so when that happens, that will be dealt with the mayor, and I don't believe we'll have anything to do with it. What'll happen is they'll bring a proposal. If he approves it, they'll provide the money, the work will get done. There are some doors that need to be hung and a roof that needs to be put on is all that I know of that will be done. Yes.
The procedure for approval, what is the criteria for approval if he says yes or no to them? What discretion?
He says specifically in here that as long as it follows the requirements that they set to the bid proposals in the first place when they did the bidding process. And a lot of it's legal. It's, the contractor's license, bonds, that kind of thing.
And then the work done, not having to do with the price, since
No.
they will be the only.
Right, the
Okay.
price will be accepted or denied by the Cottontown country community.
I got you.
So,
All right.
any other questions? Okay, we can put that on to old business again. B, progress on repairing the roof on Sumner County Jail. I would entertain a motion to discuss.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the Sumner Jail is very confusing because there's actually two options that are open currently to the county. One has to do with co-ops or cooperatives, and that's being looked into mostly by David Lawing, but somewhat by our legal staff here. We're trying to determine what the idiosyncrasies are of doing it legally in the state of Tennessee. There are cooperatives that are being used for re-roofs and those kinds of things throughout the state right now. So a cooperative is one issue. There is another thing that happened in January when President of the United States expanded his Inflation Reduction Act to include government entities. What we're looking at the moment is an investment company that would pay for an entire new roof, if that's what was required. And in the case of the jail, it would be a repaired roof and a solar system. And right now, David Lawing is doing most of the due diligence. However, he's been tied up this week with certifying the budget. But I talked to him today. He assured me that he would get on it hard and heavy next week to so that we can possibly put this thing to bed. The long and the short of it is we could get a complete solar system with a repaired or replaced roof for free, and it would have a 20-year guarantee, and we would pay the same amount in electrical bills or less. So it's kind of a win-win situation. So that's the long and short of it. Commissioner Wynn.
What's the term on that? We'll pay same electrical bill for what term?
20 years.
Just for 20 years?
20 years.
Wait, clarification. Same average bill that we're paying now, not the same monthly bill
Yeah, we
for 20
won't,
years
we won't
locked
pay
in.
double.
I want to make sure that was
Instead
clearly
of paying
understood.
Gallatin Electric, we would pay the company and,
It would still fluctuate. It's not the same
right.
Yeah,
bill.
But in all cases, it would be the same or less than what we would be paying Gallatin Electric.
I like the idea of the solar. I'll put that out there.
Okay.
I'm still trying to wrap my hands around. I don't have all the information, so if there's additional information to share about that, please do. But I'm just having a hard time wrapping my hands around why an investment company would want to give us millions of dollars for a solar system and for us to pay utilities to them. So there's got to be an upside for them. And if there's an upside for them, is the county, or why would we not like the same thing? So I think solar, again, great. I think we need to explore solar for all of our facilities. as a potential option to help reduce, if not eliminate, power bills for the county in the long term. So I would love to start unpacking this more, and not just for this one particular project, but just from a county-wide perspective for all buildings. We've got a lot of real estate, a lot of flat roofs that are good locations for solar panels.
They want to do that. Yes.
I agree with Commissioner Wynn. I asked you about this when we first heard about it. Have you gotten any more information as to what the incentive is for that company?
Yeah, it's
Because-
a 30% rebate on the total cost, and then
But the
20
gov-
years of payments that we would make to them.
Right, but the government is giving them the rebate on their investment,
Right.
correct?
Right, we're renting a roof and a solar system from them for 20 years, and then it's ours.
Yeah, this makes it very profitable for middle people to come in to do something that governments could possibly do on their own, but I don't know if we're gonna get into that.
We
or not.
can do it on our own if that's what this body elected to do and move it forward.
I just, if we're kind of getting the same money, we're basically getting a free roof out of it. That's
Yeah.
great, but
Yeah, they
we
pay
really
for
need
it and
to
we
dig
rent it,
into
or,
what-
or we pay for it and we keep the savings.
we really need to dig into what they're
Yeah.
getting out of it.
I think so too, and I've been looking at solar just for a personal residential, and looking at a lot of different things. There's a lot of programs out there, especially for municipalities. So there's more than just the 30%, by the way. You know, reduced loan amounts or even grants that would cover that. So I think there's more to this than what meets the eye. And I would hate for us to step over dollars to pick up pennies, because this could be a huge opportunity. You know, there's not only just the power piece, you've also got through PPAs, power purchase agreements, you know, selling like the green blocks potentially to power companies. I mean, I would love to see us, if we're looking more for a partnership, let's lease the space on the roof to them. You know, I don't want to rent anything. Let's lease the space on the roof to them, to where that's an income stream for the county. Something along those lines. But that's stuff we can talk about and we need to unpack and really dive into.
I'll tell you what I can do is I did receive, the mayor received it, and several, David Long received it, maybe legal received it, but there's 4 very lengthy documents, and I can pass them on to everybody at this table, and you can go through them and let's shoot it full of holes. I'm open to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't want to see us stop with just this, though. You know, I think if we're going to look at this,
Oh, yeah, they've already told me, the co-op that is behind this whole thing, they want to look at the archive roof, they want to look at the new courthouse, they want to look at any schools, anything.
And I'm not just talking about just with the co-op. Like, what would it look like if the county was to take on that in and of itself? You know, and it's not that we're in the power business; we're in the business of offsetting cost. You know, that's a cost reduction activity, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, what we have been, as far as the budget goes, is we've been interested in not shelling out a lot of money, and this looked like a way to do it, and not pay any more than we would have, because if their guarantee is no more than Gallatin Electric charges us on a monthly basis, then we would be zero money out of pocket. So, but we can get into that. I'll send that documentation to everybody, and we can go through it and take a look.
Okay.
Do we have any person on this committee that is commissioner for Portland? Any of you guys, Portland? No?
No.
Because I know a very, very large solar manufacturing company, Shoals Technologies, is right here in our own county. We could look to for some guidance with this. They may know of other things. They, just from being in the industry, they may know who the players are, who to stay away from, what some benefits are, what some ongoing costs are going to be that we may be responsible for outside of the contract that we sign with this company that looks really, really good on the outside, but you know, we have to provide the maintenance for the batteries or something like that. You know, there may be hidden things that we don't know, but
Yeah.
they may be able to help guide us with.
Mr. Chairman, I'll take that on as an action item to get in touch with them. You know, I'll work with whoever in Portland,
Okay.
the mayor of Portland,
Okay,
or whoever to
yeah, because you're close up there.
yeah, let's start conversations. Is an excellent point. I drove by there today and it didn't register.
They used to be a customer of mine, but I just knew a lot of people up there at one time,
Yeah.
so.
Great, let's do it.
Okay.
We'll just get some
So
more
you'll
information
take
come
that
back.
on?
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. Any more discussion about that? There's no motion to make on it.
Yes.
Okay, item C, status of committee touring of volunteer fire department. I'd appreciate a motion to discuss.
Motion, second.
Okay, so that's Chrissy Miller made the motion and Deborah Holmes made the second. You have in your packet, and I sent this out earlier today with two other documents that are what Dale Allen of EMS sent me as far as the latest requirements on volunteer fire department buildings.
Okay.
What's expected, what's required. So what I've got is I've got a list of 15 volunteer fire departments, and I hope after all the hours I put into this, it's the end of the line. So what I was hoping we could do, since everybody wants to be involved in things, is we could split these up. Each committee member take 2 of the fire departments, and then I'll take 3, pick up the last one. And we can either work in groups or we can work as individuals. It
I'll
doesn't
take
matter.
7 and 10.
Okay, 7 and 10 for Chrissy.
My concern is none of these are close to me. The closest one of these is in somebody else's district. And so
Yeah, well, I'm
any
probably,
of these would be a huge drive.
I'm
for me.
probably going to get the one of the ones that's farthest out, maybe the the one that's not even in the county.
Mr. Chairman, I just have some questions on this.
Okay.
You know, I asked last month, how many of these were county-owned buildings?
They run the gamut. Yes, and frankly, I didn't get into that today because I didn't have time to. I'm getting a list of equipment that each department has so that we know what kind of equipment they have. And at the same time, I will find out on Sumner GIS who owns what.
Yeah, and we don't have any authority over these volunteer fire departments. They're 501c3s, and I'm still not 100% clear as to what these inspections are even supposed to do. What is our desired outcome?
Well, as I understand it, since we fund these through the budget committee, we have some liability. For instance, the Highland Fire Department relies almost solely on our funding, which puts us in a liability situation. So what we want to do is read those 2 documents. One's 4 pages, one's 50. And then go to the facility, inspect it, and see.
Yeah, and I think we're outside of our lane in doing that. That is not a county facility. This is a general ops committee.
Some of them are county facilities.
Then tell me which ones, and let's sign up for those.
Okay.
But this is a general ops committee. The committee's work is to maintain an oversight of county assets.
Mhm.
There's 15 locations on here. I can tell you right now, I know the 2 in White House are not county assets. One of which is the actual building is owned by the city. And it's not the volunteer fire department, it's the actual White House City Fire Department
Okay.
location. You know, I want to help out where I can, especially the volunteer fire department, but this, I just feel like we're way outside of our lane. You know, if we're saying we have liability because we make a donation to a 501c3, then why aren't we inspecting all 501c3 locations for state standards?
Because the ones I mentioned were almost totally supporting, which means they're relying totally on us. This was a discussion in the budget committee. I don't want to go over that again.
No, and I get it, you know, as far as the funding piece goes, but to me, that it just doesn't make any sense. Highland has an opportunity to raise funds and do fundraisers.
Mhm.
That's the decision that they make
Mhm.
to not do extra and to solely rely on Sumner County
I understand
funding.
what you're saying.
So, but I don't see that a donation puts you in any liability. If so, then I think we'd all be in trouble. if we donate any money, any denomination
It's
to
the percentage we
501c3s.
don't donate that matters. It gets questionable after 50%, just to let you know. That was what the discussion that took place when we were going through the budget committee.
So this inspection, we're gonna inspect the buildings. What are we looking for? What's the outcome, and what are we gonna do with that information once it's done?
Well, once we're done with it, we'll come back and we'll make recommendations
For,
for what is lacking, and because we're going to have to ultimately pay for it. At least in the cases where there are buildings. You know, if we need wash basins for stuff that is semi-toxic, then we're gonna have to probably put that in. So this is not unlike the requirements for handicap. This is requirements for buildings that we own that are being used by 501c3s that we support.
so which buildings do we own?
I've told you twice already.
I know that, but you keep telling me that we own buildings, but yet you can't tell me which buildings we
Okay,
own.
let's table this for right now. I will find out which buildings we own,
Thank
and
you.
then we'll bring this up.
We do, however, pay insurance on contents on every single one of these.
Do we? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I don't necessarily yet agree with Commissioner Wynn's line of questioning, but I possibly could, because I want to know where this item came from. Did this come down from Health and Emergency Services or from budget?
This came down a couple of months ago, that when we were talking about the Oak Grove,
Yeah.
we were questioning what responsibilities do we have.
To fund their
It
request
made it up to
for.
budget, and then they passed it back down to us.
Okay, so it sounds like from this list, the reason why we're giving this, and correct me if this isn't it, we're trying to make sure we give equal or give equity to each of these departments in our funding.
No, that really isn't the driving force of it.
Well, if certain ones are missing certain things on this list that we have, I guess what is, we're not certified inspectors, we're gonna have a list of things, do you have this, do you have this, do you have this? And we're gonna come back and report if they have that. That's all we would be capable of doing. So with those results, what would we be doing? Would we be voting on funding, getting them that missing piece of equipment or that possible messed up building, fixing that portion of it? Is that where we're going with this? Because if that's the case, I'm leaning towards this probably should be in Health and Emergency Services, or if it is a county-owned building, then it would come back here. There's a lot missing to this that
I realize that, and I had to start somewhere. General
I got you.
operations is responsible for the buildings that the county owns.
Okay,
Many of these the county owns.
okay.
Sheckle Island Volunteer Fire Department.
Pardon?
We do own the Sheckle Island.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Volunteer. That's actually not even a fire department, it's a community center, and the county, as the community center, allows Sheckle Island Fire Department to use the community center, so.
Right.
That's the only one that I know. 'Cause,
So what the county commission is asking us to do as the general operations is make sure that all of our buildings are up to standards.
Okay.
And that's what we're trying to do here.
So could we not put a codes inspector on this list that was honed down to just county buildings and handle that portion of it? And if it's an equipment thing, you know, having equal equipment and fair equipment, it sounds to me like anytime somebody's coming to ask us for a donation, that we're making sure we're giving the money to the right people. Is that kind of where this is going? I need to see the bigger picture of what we're honing in on
The bigger,
to know
the
where
bigger
we're going.
picture from my perspective is
That
we
kind of
get
your line of
duped.
questioning too?
Yeah, I don't understand what we were trying to get to. We don't own, I would say 90% of these buildings on here, we don't own. And so why we would go and inspect a building we don't
That's
own?
speculative.
Let's.
You don't know that.
You're right, I don't know that, and it is very speculative, but I'm just taking a shot in the dark since we don't know. Like, I'm looking at these, and the only one that I know for sure we own is the Shackle Island Fire
Well, I
Department.
already said that we can postpone this for a month.
Yeah,
You keep wanting to talk about it though, so.
Could you finish what you were saying though about what you're getting duped to?
Yeah, we, as a commission, so often we approve budgets and all kinds of stuff and have no idea what we're doing, as is indicated by some of the disasters in Cottontown the first month we were in committee. What I want to know is that when I make a up or down vote, I know what the heck I'm talking about. That's what this exercise is about. If you don't want to be included, just tell me.
It's not that I don't want to be, I just want to make sure that our efforts are going to the right spot. Would like to see which ones are county-owned buildings, but if a lot of it is also equipment related, I think we need to go further or possibly a different direction to make sure that maybe the best building is lacking the most equipment. And it is county-owned building, but we're not giving proper donations to that group. So
That's why I sent along with this on that email to everybody, there's 2 documents that I was given by Dale Allen, who said, these will tell you everything you need in those buildings. We're just trying to do our due diligence as representatives of the citizens of Sumner County to make sure that the fire departments that we support are up to snuff and will save the lives that is required to save.
yeah, it's just a lot of,
It's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work for
Tell
a
me
part-time
about it.
position, and none of these are anywhere close to me, except for the ones that are in other people's districts. So I'll be driving through several districts to get to some of these. I don't know what help I could be to that, but if we could do what you're trying to do a different way, a more creative way, by taking somebody like a codes inspector that we already have at our disposal to go out and do the basic work of some of these things, maybe that's a different avenue we could look at.
Yeah, we can look at all of them, you know, send me an email or call me, you got my number, so we can talk about all those things. Hang on, let's
I almost think we can accomplish this just by sending an email to these fire chiefs and asking the questions, our checklist. You know, what do you got? Send us the information, and let's start with that. And if there's questions that come from that, then let's go make some site visits, if that's what this committee so chooses.
No.
I feel like we're kind of out, and I say it again, I think we're out
I
of
think
our
we're being a dead
lane.
horse. Can we move on?
I have the floor. I think we're out of our lane on this one,
Well, you
at
said it
least,
6 times.
at least at this point. But we don't have the full picture, and I don't even understand what we're trying to accomplish with the request. And if we can get the information with, these guys should know about the checklist and what is required and what is not required. And
I'll finish it with this. I went to one chief and he told me we should tear down his entire building because it's old and out of date. We should build a new one. If I take his word for it, then we'll spend $1 million. So, I mean, if that's,
it's not what I was saying. You take the information they give you, the checklist, and we can go from there, you know? If it's identified they don't have it, that's more information we had today than we did yesterday.
Come on, David.
Tim, Commissioner Schmidt was in.
Yeah, this is just a suggestion. I mean, I'm like you, I don't want to keep beating this around. Would it help to send this whole thing back to Health and Emergency Services? And my thinking behind it is it would give Chairman Rogers an opportunity to maybe reach out on this list of different department heads, whatever you want to call it, on that, and have them maybe bring to us on the Health and Emergency Services Committee what the immediate needs, would be from this station, that station, and then get all of that together, and then, maybe bring it back.
I'll call Commissioner Rogers.
And that's just a suggestion. I mean, I'm not, it just,
So I'll make a motion for that, to send this to Health and Emergency Services.
second it.
Well, I was gonna second that, but I wanted to discuss that just one more thing.
Yeah.
Is that okay if
Yes.
I continue discussion? So it seems like being that it's in this committee, a lot of it, to your point about the building and somebody's description of their building, revolves around conditions of buildings. Can we not find out which ones are county-owned buildings, which ones are not, and then also have our codes inspector inspect those buildings, come with a preliminary report of what the building is, because I can't say that the building's in great shape when a fire chief says it's not.
We're not
Because
talking about codes.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, you said that somebody reported their building needs to be torn down. If I show up there and see from my own eyes it doesn't, my word means nothing.
We weren't talking about codes, we were talking about equipment they're supposed to have.
But we're also talking about
Washers,
conditions
eye
of buildings, were we
Well,
not?
that's part of our job, yes.
I understand that, but not being aware of the conditions of the buildings, if somebody says that their building is in need of repair or needs to be rebuilt, or we need a new one because we've outgrown it, we're nobody to say otherwise.
You know what, I'll talk to Josh Suddeth.
There's
and
other work that could
see
be
if he'll
done
take this on.
prior to that. And then the list of the equipment could be, like you guys are motioning to have reported back to on a list.
Okay.
I'm glad we had this discussion. I know it's contentious at times, but I think this helps to know the direction that we need to go with this. This is a need, but I'm glad we had the
Yes,
discussion.
well,
And-
we're,
yeah.
we're committed and I wanted to bring it up to the committee, so.
No, and when this was brought forth, I think this was, yeah, it was, matter of fact, I know it was brought forth in February. The main concern is, as a committee member, I want to make sure the men and women had the equipment they needed. I wasn't diving into, because I'm not a building codes guy, I mean, I can't tell you if a building needs to be torn down or not. But one example was a decontamination station. I talked with Chairman Rogers at the Health and Emergency Services about that. I said, can we get something, we need to know, and we know they need it, but let's find out, how many we need, what's functional, so that these men and women can decontaminate before entering the building. I said, these are inexpensive asks that we should, there's just another examples of where could they, store food and just everyday necessities. Well, we weren't really digging into like building per se. It was just, simple equipment that our men and women needed to operate, every day. So,
Yeah.
I think, what you said with Josh Suddeth, if there's a building
Yeah.
with codes, I think that's a good start.
You might want to talk to Marshall Wright
Yeah.
instead. He might be the more appropriate
Yeah,
person for that.
yeah, well, I think he works under Josh. If not, I'll find that out for sure, but, yeah, I mean, typically our people who are in development services don't go out and inspect unless there's a complaint. And so, I'm sure some of these buildings haven't been looked at by the authorities for years and years, so it's fine. I understand people not being comfortable looking at a building and saying this is a good building or not. So I will talk to the people I said I would talk to, and we can move on. We can keep this as old business.
We do have a
We've got a
motion and a
motion.
second on the floor, though.
To
To
send it back to
EMS.
I just don't know
Okay.
that it needs to go to Health and EMS if
They-
you're gonna
they-
find
they
some
send us-
information.
They
send
sent
to
it
us.
here.
I
They sent it
know,
here.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know that it needs to. If you're gonna do that work and find out from people in our own,
Well, let's vote on it and we'll go which way. All in favor of,
I think one thing we need to clarify, is it the building or is it equipment? If
it's all.
Okay, it needs to be separated. We're
Why?
assets, county assets, county-owned assets. If it's a county building and a county asset, absolutely. Let's go look at it. If it's something outside of that for emergency services, it needs to be with EMS. To me, that's the place it
Oh,
needs to
if
reside.
we don't own the building?
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
so you wanna withdraw your motion if that's clear? If we get clarification on county-owned, not county-owned, and then a list of equipment, if we can get all that settled, can we just,
I think
Disregard your
that's-
motion,
and
we'll get that
just my
information
point of
back?
view on that, I think that's a fair
Yep.
thing. At least give Commissioner Klein, I kind of feel like this has all been dumped, pretty quick. Let's just take a breath, find out the information that you're seeking. If we still need clarification on stuff next month, then we can maybe revisit
Sure.
sending.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, great. All right, let's move on. We'll keep this as old business, Stephen. Progress on roof and parapets archive building. I would invite somebody to make a motion to discuss.
motion discuss?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Progress on roof and parapets of the archive building. Mayor Isbell told me that because we had done some minor work on patching, that what was left of the warranty on that roof is void. So we don't have to worry about following the Firestone process. So he says in his report, I believe, that he's going to go ahead and start the bidding system on that as soon as they get a specification. So that's pretty much all on that. Progress on maintenance department moved to TRC.
Motion to discuss.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Sittler, could you address anything on that?
I believe this was supposed to have been taken off until the case had worked its way through the courts, so I'm not really sure why it's back on here as old
Okay,
business.
it probably is because I told Steve to put it on.
Okay.
No, it's the previous minutes, didn't reflect any action on this, that's
Right.
why it's still here.
Okay. We could probably table it until the legal aspects are done. Did you get?
Do we have to vote to do
Motion.
that?
Yeah, you'll have to vote on that.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion
Okay.
to table, that was Commissioner Wynn's second here. I don't know if y'all caught that.
New business, A update.
Mr. Chairman, can we,
Yes, sir.
motion to group and approve 9A, B, and C for discussion?
Sure. Can I get a second?
To approve for discussion?
Discussion.
Okay. Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Vote 3 times.
Okay. Item A.
I just want to make sure you guys.
I don't think we can do that. I think you have to do each one individually, especially if it requires a vote. You can't group and approve discussion.
Okay, well, A and B
You
are.
can do A and B since
A
they don't
and B are
require a vote.
discussions.
Okay.
C is a motion to approve. So,
So then you need to redo that.
yeah. can we
Yeah, I'll just withdraw.
Withdraw. Okay, could somebody make a motion to group and approve A and B for discussion?
Sure, I'll make that my motion.
Second, anybody?
We're not voting on those, right? These are
Right,
points of
these are
discuss,
just
just
discussion.
points of information.
Yeah.
Second.
Second by Wynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I had a meeting, I went to a meeting with the builder and our representative, Randall Coy, on Friday. The courthouse is still on schedule to be finished around the 1st of January 2024. They feel real good about that. And I did tour the building after we were done, and I feel good about it too. They're doing finish. They started at the 6th and they're through the 5th floor and starting on the 3rd. The 4th floor is going to be vacant for the time being. The parking structure, they ran into a little hiccup. They discovered sewer lines running from the church to Franklin Avenue. That's gonna set.
They didn't know?
They didn't know. So that's gonna set them back about 2 weeks. They're gonna have to divert them into the 2 side streets that then lead to Franklin. So they feel like they'll be able to catch up and it won't delay any further. But as far as they're concerned, they can commit to March 1st, but they would tell you with a straight face that they can't guarantee that tomorrow because there's just too many variables when you're starting. All the concrete panels and posts are ordered and in the making. They did start working on it last Friday because I saw an excavator there. Most of the stuff has been moved off the property. Like I say, the sewer lines will have to be handled first. They're going to have to excavate 3 feet of earth out of there because apparently somewhere along the line there was a gas station and there are petrochemical EPA stuff in the ground. They will bring back shot rock. The first level of the parking structure will be roughly even with the streets. And that's really the long and short of that. Are there any questions on it? No, okay. Item B, access to the mayor's new system for county purchase order. That is also in here. I tried it this afternoon. I couldn't make it work. I was coming down to IT, but I got diverted, so I'm gonna come back Wednesday and see if they can show me how to do it. Maybe if one of you has more luck running through this system and give me a call, you can walk me through it before that. But that is the purchase order system that we discussed back in late December.
Work order system.
Work order system.
Yeah, because we're not purchasing.
Did I say purchase order?
It's in the
It's in the.
agenda.
Okay, I'm
purchase
sorry, I was
order.
reading. Yes, it's a
Yeah,
work
work
order
order.
system, not a purchase order system. John handles the purchase orders, or David Lawing handles the purchase.
Do we have to make a motion to correct that for the minutes or anything, or can you just cross it out and change it?
I think we can, I don't know.
I'd ask this to be, saved just to reflect accuracy, that we.
Make a motion
we
on
fix
I'll
it
make a motion
properly.
to save that, to reflect accuracy, that it's actually not purchase order, that it's actually work
it?
orders.
Work order.
Second.
Second by Win. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, last item. The law department requests for appropriation of adjacent vacant office space for personnel. Do we have a motion for any?
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Second by Win. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I told Eric I would explain it because I understand what he needs, and he'll be open for questions if you have any. They are in the process of hiring 2 more, or bringing on 2 more people. One they're going to take from human resources, another one they have to hire. They're pretty cramped for space up there. And so there is a vacant area of 2 very large offices adjacent to their area. What it looks like would have to happen is a door cut in to one wall of one of the offices, and then they would have the room they need. They also have a lot of stuff over at the archives building in the back that they need to have access to. Before Ramona left, she was going over there about 3 times a week. It could be more in the future. It makes all the sense in the world that they get it out of archives building and up into that area. So in looking at it an hour ago, I'm in favor of giving them that area since it's just
Make a
sitting
motion
vacant.
to
Second.
give them area.
Second, question.
Yeah, yeah, I don't have an issue with it, but I think it raises a larger question, really, and something that I think that we, as a committee, should be doing, or in the process of doing. We have a lot of, I need space, or there's open space. I don't know that we can point to how much available square footage we have, what potential are the needs of any one given department. I think it's time for us to do an assessment, one, of the county space. So how much square footage do we have, how much is available, and then what does the departments need by department? What square footages are needed or required?
Who would do that assessment?
I think that's a good suggestion. Who's going to do it?
That's a great question. You know, I think we can work with the mayor's office to get some of that done. To me, it seems like it would really need to be more of an engineered type solution, if you will, to look at some of that. So just something that maybe we can put on next month's agenda to start to unpack, but just want to put that out there.
Okay.
I think we could start first with just a general report of vacant space and start there. And we could ask that question of the mayor. His office surely could give us a report of vacant space of buildings.
Mr. Hyde?
Not that anything that's been said is a bad thought, but when you open this door, it will never be shut back. I've been in government too long. You send out a notice of how much space do you need and how much space do we have to give you, and you're never gonna have enough space to fill it. You better get off that horse and just answer each individual situation that you have. Now, if it was
We
for
could just ask the
committee
question personally.
knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. You do not want to send out any survey to people, you're gonna fill it and fill it about 10 times.
I can tell you that Commissioner Miller and I have been struggling diligently to try to find all of the buildings we own, and it's a rat's nest that does not seem to end. Her with her real estate access and my knowledge of the Sumner GIS, it's very, very difficult, and we're working on it. So that's why
And then
go ahead.
some buildings we maintain, but we don't own.
Right.
So the mayor's office maintains the buildings, so his list of buildings that he sent would be buildings that we maintain. It doesn't necessarily mean the county owns it, it just means that the mayor's office maintains it. So the list that I got from him is just buildings that we maintain. Some of them aren't even in, one of the buildings is not even in the county. So, and some of them are owned by cities, I mean, it just depends. Sometimes we just maintain them. And then I have 3 different lists, and it's highly, highly confusing. So
Yeah,
I don't even know where you.
Yeah, there's
I've
another list.
I've been trying to do this since I was put on this committee last September. So.
Yeah, and there's another list that all the buildings we pay insurance on,
Correct,
but we don't necessarily own them.
correct.
And I think that just calls the greater need for, we need to understand our assets. You know, we don't have a list of that. We don't know what space we actually have available where that's easy to point to. So when we do have a request for additional space, we as a committee should be able to say, okay, yes, we've got this, and then evaluate from there. I'm on board with Mr. Hyde's, like, I don't wanna send out a blanket, hey, what do you need? Because to that point, it's like, that's a blank check essentially.
Right.
So, but I think there's no harm, and we should be doing an assessment to understand what properties the county owns and what space we do have available.
Well, and like I say, Commissioner Miller and I have been trying for months to get a handle on this, and we're still working on it.
Is it something that you guys think you may have a handle on in the next few months? Maybe you could just let us know we do know now, because the knowing would be
Yeah.
handy to say we have knowledge of for when the need comes up. We don't have to advertise what that is.
Because I think just even hearing that we're paying insurance on buildings that we don't own, that's a
I
huge
agree.
red flag to me. It's like, wow, that's something that we would need to really look into and start to dig into more and learn more about why, you know, and
Do you
answer
guys
the
have a
question of
timeline?
why.
Do you have a timeline as to when you
No,
could know?
I've been trying to get this for
Yeah,
almost 11 months.
What are the roadblocks you're running into?
well, you just get bad lists.
Yeah.
And you go back
They're
and
not
check.
updated, and
And then you find a building that, wait, we own that? There's a little house around from
there's
the.
abandoned
gallery.
buildings that we own.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, goodness.
it's a mess.
But then you can't find it in the tax records. I mean, it's crazy, it's like a wormhole. Anyways, there's a motion on the floor, just to remind you.
Yeah, yeah, so, anyway,
How do you address that motion without making it public?
well, the motion on the floor is,
But still
is
wants
do we
to know.
move forward
Yeah.
Oh,
with
gotcha.
the 2
Gotcha.
offices?
Yeah,
And because what we're trying to do with the properties is kind of unended,
I understand.
this is these are 2 offices that are adjacent to their
they're
offices.
Sorry, yeah, I
They-
understand all that, and I'm ready to vote on that. I do think we need to revisit that in
And-
some
I agree.
shape or form
I
later,
100% agree.
Yeah.
but I am
I'm
ready to vote on that, so.
Okay.
Can we put that on the agenda for next month, even if it's in old
Sure.
business? Just so that we don't lose line of sight on it and it doesn't fall off our radar.
It's gotta be new business.
Okay?
Yeah, it's gotta be new business, but we'll make that, inventory of existing properties, existing county
Yeah.
properties.
That would have helped us out with our volunteer fire. If we had known that, we could have really cut the chase on that one.
And let me tell you, I have found properties that I know that we own, but they're not in our name. It's strange, Wes, it's really strange,
Are
so.
we ready to vote?
Okay, do we
Yes.
have any other questions regarding item C? Okay, the motion is to move forward with the 2 offices. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. There's,
Motion to
Make a motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?